2 years ago, I set off to travel the world. Along the way, I found my passion of meeting and talking with like-minded people. I realized that I had a story to share, but my story was a bit different from the rest. There were voices all across the world waiting to be heard. They just needed an ear to listen. Each episode in this series takes an inside look at the lives and stories from transgender people. This is Transphere with Riley Long. This episode, I spoke with Max, a trans man from Bucharest, Romania. Romania is found on the east side of Europe, sharing its borders with Ukraine, Hungary, Serbia, and Bulgaria. Romania is one of the very last European countries to not recognize any type of relationship between same-sex partners. There have been laws and movements to push LGBT rights forward, but many have been ignored or become unclear in how they should be enacted. 81% of Romanians identify as Romanian Orthodox, which means the church plays a heavy role in education and has publicly spoken out about LGBT people numerous times. In 2013, the EU conducted a survey placing Romania as the third highest level of homophobia in the EU. Max shares what it is like to live in Bucharest as a young trans person. What is it like being a trans person in Romania?
In my experience, people can be very accepting, mostly younger people though. I'm out to my family and I'm out at school. I'm stealth at work and in my extracurricular activities. My cousins have been quite accepting, but my parents, it's like they don't even process it. It's like I told them and they ignored it. So to say, at school it's had its up and downs. I've had long talks with teachers that didn't understand the concept, and I had to explain to them how transitioning works and what pronouns they should use and all of that stuff. I even got into surgeries because most cis people can't just understand the fact that you're trans. You gotta talk about these things, medical transition especially. It's not all that hard living as a trans person, but again, this is in Bucharest, so it shouldn't be taken as an overall experience in Romania.
I mean, do you have friends in other areas that it would be different then? I mean, can you speak to their experiences, or are you not sure?
I don't have any other trans friends. It's kind of difficult to find other trans people here.
Okay.
I've only interacted with other trans people at Pride, and it's been just very short interactions.
So, I mean, that kind of goes into my next question. Is that because, there's not resources and groups available, or is that more because there's not a lot of out trans people?
A lot of trans people don't want to be out. They prefer being stealth. And the people that are out get a lot of hate for being trans. So this just encourages the community to go underground. I don't really know why this is happening, but I suppose it's because of the backlash we're getting for being out. Then we tend to go stealth, and we go stealth for most of our life.
Are there like LGBT centers in the area, or like support groups, or like
yes.
online communities?
Online, not so much from what I've seen. For LGBT teens, there are, but trans people don't usually get included, or if they get included, it's just in very small amounts. Like you gotta be very cis-passing, very heteronormative in order to be accepted. And as support groups, yeah, you do have Accept and you have Mosaic, which are two support communities type things. They organize the Bucharest Pride as well, and they have like cheaper psychology sessions and stuff for trans people and for LGBT people in general.
You mean most people are like binary? Like, is there not a lot of understanding for non-binary genders there?
I don't think anybody really understands non-binary genders here in Romania because we are very gendered as a society. We have genders for like tables, we have genders for TVs, everything has a gender. The language is so gendered. So taking the concept of gender out of a human being, which is the most gender thing you can be, is kind of weird for the people here. You gotta explain and over explain to them what that means, what those implications are. And also, you cannot be a trans guy and present a little bit more feminine, because then you will be seen as a woman. Even if you're a cis guy and present more feminine, you're just gonna be seen as weird, effeminate in some way.
So are you out in, like, I don't know if you go to school or if you work? Um, are you out in
Yeah,
those
I work and
aspects?
I go to school.
Okay.
Um, I am out in school. At work, I'm only out to the people that I really need to be out to. For example, I'm out to the recruiter and the people I have to sign papers with. But those are not a lot of people that I work with. I work with the public generally, so they don't need to know I'm trans. My name tag is my name that I use and I go by. People use he, him pronouns. So again, I'm stealth most of the time. And at school, everybody knows, but it's not because I want them to, it's just because I came out in 9th grade. So everybody from my class knows, and the teachers know because I gotta tell them before class, hey, there is a name in the names list, but that's not the name I go by, so please don't use it. So I
Yeah.
gotta do all that speech beforehand, and then I have to explain what being trans means.
So what would be the process for getting your name legally changed, or gender marker? Can you do that?
You can do that, it's a possibility, but it's very, very difficult to do. You have to have quotation marks, the surgery, which means you gotta have bottom surgery. You cannot do it just with top surgery, and you gotta have, I believe, 3 letters from your psychologist. You gotta live as your chosen gender for a few years beforehand and have about 100 signatures, and then you get in court, and in court they decide if your gender marker and name should be changed. So it's kind of a long and tedious process, and not a lot of people choose to do so.
Really?
More people that are trans actually choose more neutral names, because then you can just go in court and say, I prefer using this name, my friends use this name, it's easier for me to go by this name, and the judge will be more okay with that than you being trans and needing a name change. I don't know about a lot of instances in which trans people have actually changed their names.
And is there much access to, like, medical transitioning, as in like hormones and surgery? Is that process difficult? Are there a lot of doctors?
For getting on T, you gotta you gotta go to therapy for 6 months, and then the psychologist determines if he or she they want or not to give you the letter for the endocrinologist, which then decides if they want to give you the T, and after that get on T. But thing is, again, psychologists are not well informed. They make ill diagnose. For example, I know of somebody that was the diagnosed that the medics said they had schizophrenia just so they couldn't get on T. Wanted to say I have bipolar disease, which I don't. Medically speaking, I don't have any symptoms of that, but he still wanted to give me that diagnosis because he thought this way I would stop being able to transition forward. So that happens. But
Wow.
there are There are psychologists in like Accept and Mosaic that actually give the letters and let you transition without gatekeeping you. But my parents just don't let me go there. It's because they think it's an echo chamber. That's why they don't let me go there. Even though it's not, it's really not. It's more of a, you go there, you have a few sessions, they see if you really are trans or if it's just a phase or anything, and then you just come after 6 months, you have another session, and then you're good to go, you have your letter. Otherwise you would have to go every single week to therapy for 6 months, pay a lot of money, and maybe not get anything out of it like I did.
So, are you not medically transitioning then?
Uh, at the moment, no. I'm waiting to be 18 years old.
Okay, so once you're 18, you should be able to access it easier.
Yeah, and surgeries are very difficult to access here in Romania. You gotta basically have them elsewhere. We only have one surgeon here, and there are no result pictures, no reviews, no nothing. Nobody knows what he's actually done, or if he's actually done it. The only person we know for sure has been to surgery is somebody who thought they are a trans woman and later on decided that they are not. And it was a whole fuck up, and it was all over television, and that got the trans community a very, very bad name here.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. So you're saying that you're living stealth, so you don't feel like you're passing okay without being on testosterone then?
Yeah, I'm kind of cis passing. The only thing that gives me away is my voice. Otherwise, I look pretty male. Plus, I am using minoxidil, which is, for growing a beard, which actually gives me a like youngling mustache kind of thing, and people just go by that.
Okay. Well, hey, sometimes you have to be a little bit creative, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there any like violence towards trans people, or does any of that?
Um,
You said a lot of most people aren't out, but I mean, if someone did know, I guess. How do you think living in Romania and being a part of the LGBT community is different than the rest of the world? Or do you think it is any different?
uh, I think, of course, it's different. It's different from city to city. It's different from neighborhood to neighborhood. Here in Romania, I think it's not as difficult as other parts of the world, like Africa, most of it, um, or part of Asia. But it's not as easy as living as a trans person in the Western world, because you don't have as much access to resources or information. A lot of information I found was in English, obviously. There is not a lot of information in Romanian, if at all correct, at least. There are only a few articles that don't really explain what being trans actually means. They just say you're a boy wanting to be a girl or a girl wanting to be a boy, and that's kind of the narrative, which is really wrong if you look into it. So I would say that, for example, comparing Romania to an English-speaking country, you get a lot more information in an English-speaking country. Compared to like lifestyle, compared to the Western world, you are more safe there than you are here. If you're cis passing, you're safe to go. And it really depends where you get hired, where you are in school. I'm kind of in a good high school, and I have a job that is really, really inclusive, but it could be different, you know. I could be in a worse high school in a worse neighborhood, or I could be at a worse job and they could say that I only have to use my birth name, for example. So again, I don't think I could answer this question. I think it's really, really relative. Most trans people that can move out of Romania because there's not a lot of stuff to do here as a trans person. You cannot really evolve the way you could in other countries. Most trans people, if they can, they go for education in other places because universities and high schools are not very inclusive here. And or they move out later in life if they can again, because people that hire here are not usually all that inclusive, don't usually understand trans people a lot. And I think this could be solved if only there was a little bit more education on the subject, a little bit more empathy. Because at this point, what Romania really lacks is empathy towards us.
Okay. Is that something you're interested in doing, like moving somewhere else, I guess, when you're done with school? That?
Yeah, when I'm done with high school, I'm planning on going to university, probably UK, maybe Sweden or Germany, I'm not sure.
Okay.
And after that, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where I have an internship, where they'll hire me. That's basically how Romanians life works. You just see where opportunity takes you, but out of the country.
Yeah. Nobody wants to stick around, or just people in the LGBT community?
And nobody, honestly. It's very bad politically. We have a really bad government. They are very corrupted. I think everybody in Europe kind of knows it at this point. We have a prime minister who just fucks around. They don't really do anything. It's all gone mad since communism fell. It's only got worse and worse. And that's why everybody wants to leave. We have really bad wages. We have really bad medical care. We have really, really bad hiring opportunities. So that's why nobody wants to stay.
Okay.
Being an LGBT person is just a step up from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily there are opportunities to move to other places. It's not always the easiest, but there are options out there. I don't really have anything else here, but I just want to thank you for offering information and connecting with me. It's really interesting for me to listen to, and I think will be interesting for other people. And if there's not a lot of resources out there, you're being a great resource right here. So I think that's excellent.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for showing me this opportunity of doing this, because I really want to do this with my life, help other people, give out information.
Yeah, me too. All right, have a good rest of your evening.
You too, goodbye.
Bye. Life is obviously not very easy for an LGBT person in Romania, and it's unfortunate that so many people have to continue living every day uncomfortably. If you're interested in hearing more about the groups that Max mentioned, Accept and Mosaic, please visit the links below this video. Please share this video with others and start talking about what LGBT people have to go through to just be who they are in their countries. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Transphere, and I will catch you all next time. Bye.